Hey, RetconRaider here. Today's video is dedicated to Loki K. Thanks for your support, Loki. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder Kingmaker, as we find ourselves in a rather intriguing position. At a glance, it appears we're currently in the middle of a dialogue-driven investigation sequence, something more akin to a game of Clue or a Scooby-Doo mystery than an actual game of Pathfinder or Dungeons and or Dragons. Not that I'm complaining, of course. We've had skill challenges before, just none that were portrayed quite like this. It's a nice change of pace. That said, based on what I'm seeing here, we have 3 suspects to question, plus whoever's in the kitchen, and we have to check the rooms upstairs for any potential clues. Let's get to it. A bearded, middle-aged man stands before you. He wears a massive gold chain on his neck. The woman beside him gives a polite smile and a nod as you approach. Greetings, Baron. The man's voice is so low as to rumble. Let me introduce myself. Cabron Tedrum from Restov. He nods to the woman beside him. And this is my wife, Una Tedrum. We've come to your land to hunt. Yet, I admit, we did not expect to meet you in person. To what do we owe this honor? Far from Brevoy, are you not? You see, Cabron clears his throat. I've heard the wildlife here is excellent sport, so I decided to see for myself. Sort truth from rumor, you understand. Fortunately, my fair wife was in favor of the trip, so here we are. Do you prefer snares or a bow? A bow. What kind of prey do you hunt? Cabron freezes. He swallows. Cougars. He swallows again, as if fighting to take a breath. Magnificent predators, worthy prey, for a worthy hunter. He gives an awkward smile. Very convincing. I hope you enjoy your hunting. Let's change the topic. My pleasure. Tell me about yourself, please. I'm a legalist, Baron. Cabron hooks his thumbs into his embroidered belt. My job is to ensure Restov's laws are upheld. My wife is a keeper of the hearth and my loyal companion in prolonged journeys. Una nods without a word, her gaze fixed on you. Oh, yes, of course. Cabron Tedrum. I've heard about you and your famous legal cases. Cabron Tedrum freezes, as if someone put a knife to his throat. Is that so? He tries to smile, but his eyes are fearful. I doubt, Baron, that anything you heard concerned me. My family name is a common one. I've so many relatives, I know not a quarter of them. He clears his throat. Well, with a difficult job like yours, it's impossible to get by without some divine support. Whom do you address your prayers to? Why, to Abadar, of course, divine patron of law and lawyers. Cabron looks at you intently. Surely you are aware of Abadar, are you not? You must be. No matter, no matter. Let's get back to other questions. As you wish, Your Grace. You've recognized me at once. Do I know you? I doubt it. but news about developments within the stolen lands, and your role in them, has traveled far. Silverleaf is a well-known name beyond your borders. Cabron gives you a polite half-bow. The woman in the kitchen, your cook? Cabron nods quickly. Yes, we just can't imagine our lives without Sana. Una coughs delicately. My constitution demands a unique diet. She studies you closely. A private matter, if you don't mind. This seems an odd place to rest for the night. Why, Baron. Una gives a false smile. We adore this charming dwelling. She glances around the dim hall. Her smile remains, but you notice she raises an eyebrow at her surroundings, as if in judgment. A crime has taken place nearby. The one responsible may be hiding in this house. Have you seen anything suspicious? The Tedrums exchange glances. I'm afraid, Your Grace. Cabron looks downcast. We won't be able to help you. Have you seen anyone suspicious? Cabron looks around the hall. We are not accustomed to such company, Baron. Besides, from the Restov legalist's point of view, every person in this room is suspicious. Well, on that we can agree. Do you know the hostess? No, I don't. Cabron rubs his brow. And I must say, she doesn't look forward to meeting new people either. Do you recall who came to the lodge in the last hour or so? Cabron casts a look behind you. On second thought, this young woman. I didn't notice exactly when she entered the room. He turns to his wife. My dear, perhaps you recall. What was the name our hostess used addressing her? Olika, sweetheart. Una shrugs faintly. I cannot recall if I saw her at the start of the evening. Let's go back to other questions. Cabron nods. I'm afraid I'm going to need a key to your room. Despite Una's cool expression, you notice a bead of sweat running down her temple. As she spots your glance, her lips tighten. Cabron takes a key from his purse and hands it to you. As you wish, Baron. Thank you. I'll come back to you. Okay, so, they are obviously lying to us. They might be from Restov, he might even be a legalist, but they clearly weren't telling the truth about why they came to our lands, or to this lodge in particular. Let's see what this one has to say. A young woman stands before you, wearing a plain dress and a hooded cloak. Her belly is swollen. She is pregnant, and her time is near. Your Grace, it's an honor. The woman bows, then stares at you with shining eyes. I thought I'd never be able to thank you in person for your kindness, but gods were kind to me. You must have forgotten already, but it was you who discovered my husband's body. A trader died on one of his trips. You found a brooch and a letter on his body, and had it sent to me. I do remember that. That was, towards the beginning of Act 2. She touches a turquoise brooch pinned to her dress. The brooch is familiar to you. You made it possible that the last gift for my husband had found its way home. There's not enough words in the world for how grateful I am. You're welcome, but what are you doing here? I'm taking what rest I can after a long day on the road, Your Grace. I'm a widow. Olika stops short. I barely had 2 seasons to mourn my husband, and he left me with child. And in difficult times like these. I've got a sister in Gralton, God's bless her. She's agreed to give me a shelter in her house, so I went there. There was nowhere else to go. A memory of Olika's letter emerges from the depths of your mind. She mentioned her son in that letter, but now there is no child by her mother. It's odd that Olika, who's been planning to stay at Gralton, didn't bring her son with her. That does seem peculiar. Where are you from? From Galt, Your Grace. I'm from a tiny village near the tract. Guess no one here ever heard about this place. You recall the location of Galt and Gralton. As far as you know, the stolen lands lay aside from the places Olika has named. Intriguing. Are you planning to stay in Gralton? Olika hesitates. I don't know yet, she answers. But if things turn out well, why not? It was a long journey for you. Olika shrugs. I've little coin, Your Grace, so I have to beg traders on the road to ride in their carts. I spend nights anywhere I have to. This place is at least warm and dry. Fair. Let's talk about something else. Olika nods. Of course, Your Grace. You see this couple at the table. They're nobles from Restove. They claim you were the last one who'd come to the hall. Olika gives you a perplexed look. But that's not true. It's not. Her voice trembles. Dumra, the hostess. She was the last one. I remember her coming through the kitchen. That does actually match what Dumra herself told us. She was out checking traps, and these people all arrived while she was gone. Yet another lie from the Tedrans. I mean, Olika's a little suspicious too, but, the Tedrans are definitely much more so. Olika, I'm looking for a cultist of a dark goddess. Can you help me? Olika pales. Cultists? That's horrible. But how can I help you? Have you seen anything suspicious tonight? Olika shakes her head slowly. No, I don't think so. Do you know anyone in this hall? First time I've seen these people was when I'd stepped over the threshold of this lodge. Do you know who came to the lodge last? Olika frowns. I heard a noise from the kitchen. It was like something fell on the floor. And then this grumpy old lady, Dumra, came out. I see. One more thing. Olika gives you several hasty nods. It seems the talk of cultists has frightened her. I need a key to your room. Olika hesitates, then takes a key out from her cloak and hands it to you without a word. Thank you. I should go. Alright, so a couple of inconsistencies in her story. I'm actually a little surprised we couldn't just ask her about her son. Well, let's have a look at the kitchen. The table is piled with dirty dishes and cold leftover food.
It is done.
Something is burning inside the stove. It was thrown in the fire not long ago. Really now? That could be our cultist robes. Or just about anything else, I suppose. The back door was used recently. Well, Doomra would have had to use that door, so that's not much of a clue. The kitchen servant is busy, grinding herbs within a mortar. She's wearing a dress soiled with dark stains, and her hair is knotted in a bun, with a few stray hairs poking free. The woman doesn't appear to notice you as she makes her way to the stove. You notice she's limping badly on her right leg. Before you can speak, she turns, sees you, and freezes. Okay, now that is something. I don't think it's mentioned anyone else having any sort of limp or leg injury. It seems a bit blatant, but we wouldn't understand that clue if we hadn't succeeded at the skill challenge during the earlier event. That alone makes her one of our prime suspects. Who are you? Name's Sana. I cook for Tedrums, nobles from Restove. She wipes her hands with her apron. What'll it be? What can you tell me about your masters? Sana frowns. No quicker road to trouble, talking about masters, that is. She glances at your clothes and sighs. How would you like it if your servants were all a gossip about you? I'm actually pretty sure they are. They pay regular, not stingy with their coin. They don't yell much. So I count myself fortunate, I do. Why are they here, do you think? None of my business. Might be they have things to do, but I wouldn't know it. I mend, I cook, and I serve when, where needed. Alright, that's enough about the Tedrums. Sana doesn't react. What are you cooking, Sana? She throws a glance at the stove. That there's for tomorrow. She hesitates. Tomorrow's midday meal, it is. Okay, let's have a look. You take the lid off the pan. Some brew boils inside. It looks strange and smells odd. You lean over, smell the stew, and immediately flinch. The acrid stink of vinegar feels like a punch in the face. Besides, you can smell some strange spice, which would be appropriate in a dessert, but not in the first course for dinner. It must be difficult to please nobles like the Tedrums. I imagine they ask for something new for each day's meal. Sana thinks about it. Yes, she hesitates, then nods. That's it, I suppose. Uh-huh. You see, this is why it's important for people to put points into persuasion, even if it's not a class skill. We're looking for a criminal who may have fled this way. Have you seen anyone suspicious? What could be seen here, you say? Sana snorts. Ask Doomra. She runs the house, she does. Has anyone come into the kitchen recently? Only Doomra came. She frowns. No doubt checking to see I'm not palming the silver, as if there's anything worth stealing here. So there's not. The hostess of the lodge doesn't mind you cooking at her kitchen. As if she came here often herself. She throws up her hands. Filth piled in corners, the floor sandal deep in dirt. Had to work my fingers to bones to clean the kitchen before I could start a proper meal in this. She curls her lip. This cowshed. Thank you. That's all I need. She waves her hand and turns back to tending the stew boiling at the stove. One more thing. I need the key to your room. Room? She raises an eyebrow. I don't have a room except here in the kitchen. Bed's a bench. Still, warm enough, though. Well, isn't that convenient? I have to say, of all of the people we've questioned so far, Sana is definitely the most suspicious. I mean, they've all told us lies, except for maybe Doomra, but she is walking with a limp, conveniently placed out of sight of the others, standing next to a stove with something burning in it, has easy access to the back door and could come and go without anyone noticing, and, she has no idea how to cook, despite the fact that the Tedrums claimed they needed to follow a special diet. It's possible the Tedrums are actually covering for her. That would certainly help explain their, odd behavior. Alright, let's see what else we can find here. The bags contain the Tedrum's clothes and personal belongings. The sheets are crumpled, the blanket is thrown aside. It seems someone was sleeping in this bed not long ago. Whoop, let's make sure I've got the whole group selected. There are no hunting bows, arrows, snares, nor any other sign of the Tedrums having any hunting on their mind. I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Well, not that shocked. Okay, so that really just reaffirmed that the Tedrums are not in fact here on a hunting trip.
All according to plan.
A pile of dirty clothes covers some snares. There are a few hunting bows and quivers with arrows. Papers from Doomra's chest. Looks like a shopping list. Nope, it is a full inventory, both buying and selling. Weather reports. Hunting log. Interesting. There is actually some intriguing stuff in here. There's Candlemere. But the way it's all written, it doesn't have anything suspicious in it. Nothing about her being a cultist, and it does imply that she's been here for quite some time. So, following Occam's razor, I think it's safe to assume that Doomra is exactly what she appears to be. A rude, filthy poacher living in the woods. Again, I think her antisocial behavior, towards us at least, is because she doesn't want to be persecuted for poaching. Receipts, shopping lists, and other papers pile over Doomra's table. The sheets on this bed look dirty. The old bed cover is sewed together from a number of patches. What, no foreboding figurines, covered in densely scrawled runes? It's like she's not even trying to be a cultist.
Anything else?
In due time.
The chest contains modest clothing, some packed leftover food, a purse with herbs, and other personal belongings. The table holds a pile of letters, crossed with a ribbon. These are the letters from Olika's deceased husband. It seems they corresponded often. Ah, poor gal. The mattress covers blood-stained cloth and bandages. Oh, I don't like that. She's pregnant, too. We might be moving into some uncomfortable territory. This is the room we can rent. Nothing in here but a bed we can rest in. And this room appears to be unused, which actually does lend itself towards Sana's story, though she could be sleeping in the kitchen by choice.
That is not far.
Your Grace? I've been to your room. I found no hunting weapons there. Cabron becomes white as a sheet. You see, well... He licks his lips, which are now trembling slightly. Una, who is watching her husband closely, touches his shoulder lightly. I beg your pardon, Baron. She leans into Cabron and whispers something in his ear. You barely hear Una's hiss. Get a hold of yourself, you fool. You'll ruin everything. These words seem to have the desired effect. Cabron suddenly straightens and smiles. Truth be told, it is a rather embarrassing matter. Cabron gives a hollow chuckle. I proved a much worse hunter than I thought. Just imagine, I managed to snap not one, not two, but 3 bowstrings in a day. Infuriated, I broke my bow across my knee. It shames me to even speak of it. Una smiles gently and looks aside. Oh, of course. That explains everything. Broke your bow, snapped your strings. No doubt vaporized your arrows and quiver with sheer rage. Yeah, we've all been there.
As it should be.
Olika? Do you want to ask about something else? Olika, why are there blood-stained undergarments in your room? Where is that from? Olika takes a step back, her eyes wide with fear. I'll explain. The woman lowers her head and rests her hands against her belly. I'm expecting a baby, but because of the journey, or of all the worries, something must have gone wrong. It hurts. Olika closes her eyes tightly, and I bleed. Olika starts sobbing. I tried to find out what's wrong, to heal myself, to appease the gods. The priest of Erasma told me he couldn't help. The goddess rejected my child, said it would be born dead. This is too real. But I can't just accept it. I can't give up. This child, my husband's child, all I have left of him. Olika hides her face behind her hands and starts to weep. You realize you'll get nothing more from her at the moment. Oh boy. I don't like that story. Man, this whole chapter's kind of gross, isn't it? I really hope we can help her in some way. Alright, I think we've gathered just about all the information we can. We have a pretty solid idea of who the cultist is. It's almost certainly Tsana. But the Tedrums are also clearly lying to us about something. This might get nasty.
Anything is possible.
Okay, that's probably enough. We don't want to go crazy here.
Time's not waiting.
And maybe a little more armor on Doggo. Keston's brow is furrowed. He looks at you, awaiting your orders. There is someone who seemed especially suspicious to me. Just call the name, and I will interrogate that person. Okay, I actually want to work through the list here, because we've got evidence against just about everyone except for Doomra. I do think the actual cultist is Sana, but we'll save her for last. Let's start with Cabron Tedrum, a lawyer from Restov. The only man in the lodge. Keston ponders. Alright, let's figure it out. I will bring him to you at once. So, Cabron, the time has come for us to have a heart-to-heart. Why are you here? Cabron trembles, his voice quavering, his face pale. What are you talking about? Let's cut to the chase, Master Tedrum. You don't want to keep our Baron waiting, do you? Fine, Cabron almost shouts now. I confess. I didn't come here to hunt. But it's not my fault. It's because of her. Because of my wife. What about your wife? Keston's eyes narrow. The truth now, all of it. I've lost too much time to you and your cult already. I'm not a cultist. Cabron's eyes well up. It's Una. She told me the priestess of Lamashtu could help us. She brought me here to this godforsaken hole. She threatened that if I didn't go, she'd end our marriage. And she's a great niece of Garnet Orlovsky. The shame would destroy me. Keston looks at you. I guess we've made a mistake, he whispers. This squab is guilty only of a lack of spine. But then, who is... Keston is interrupted by a loud noise from the kitchen. What was that? His hand falls to his weapon. This prattle bores me. Death to the intruders!
Let's finish them quick.
Well, that's what I get for trying to be thorough. Should have just had Keston drag Sana out first. On the bright side, we finally get some action. Stop! I surrender! The priestess of Lamashtu holds her hands over her bleeding wounds, moaning in pain. She raises the hem of her skirt and starts to wipe away the blood from her legs. Her right leg is covered with sores, oozing pus and yellow ichor. Tell me who you are. Quick now. I am the priestess of the cult of Lamashtu, the Great Mother, the ancestress of monsters. The priestess struggles to raise her chin, her voice a hiss. I'm not from these lands. I came here because of the pleas of your people, who seek the mercy of my goddess. I came to these lands in secret and hid my identity from everyone, except for those initiated in the mysteries of Great Mother. Even the hostess of this lodge had no idea who I was, and those looking for divine benefaction found me on their own. And there are more than the followers of Erastil would believe. We do have quite a few cults. Tell me about the cult of Lamashtu. We are numerous, and we are strong. The tribe of Lamashtu followers grows every day, breeds, and spreads over the lands of Golarion in search for places to create new packs. What kind of rituals were you performing at the shrine? We prayed to Lamashtu. We asked for new offsprings in the pack. We mated like wild animals, free of stupid prejudices. The priestess's lips curve in a grin. I'll spare you the details, elf. Those like you are unable to accept the greatness of our ancient faith. Yes, and for that we are all thankful. I'm not impressed by your attempts to wound my pride. The priestess says nothing, her eyes filled with contempt. Where are the rest of the Lamashtu cultists hiding? The woman's face turns to stone. You cannot make me betray the children of the Great Mother. Torture me if you like. The Lamashtu will grant me the strength to endure any pain you inflict upon me. I don't doubt that. If nothing else, we have learned that Lamashtu cultists are insanely self-destructive. Have you allied with goblins and other creatures in the area? No, we have the same mistress, but our paths to faith are different. Enough about that. I held no illusions you could grasp the wisdom of my goddess. All these people in the lodge, are they here because of you? The priestess shakes her head. They were searching for the blessings of Lamashtu. Other gods have denied them, and they had to ask the Mother of Monsters for her benefaction. The couple from Restove, did they come to meet you? Yes. Several years ago, the lawyer defended a necromancer in a court in his native city, and he won the trial. Since then, all Tedrum's attempts to conceive a child were doomed to fail. Pharasma didn't want to prolong the bloodline of a man who protected those who raised the dead. Una has more brains than her spineless mate, so she'd sought the support of Lamashtu. The child, of course, will bear the mark of the goddess, but Tedrums don't have much choice. Pharasma's memory is long. And what's the story of the merchant's widow? Holika, Holika, Holika. She's a poor girl clinging to the unborn life in her womb. The seed of her husband was too weak. Holika's child is doomed to perish before coming to this world. Great. Thanks. Is the lodge hostess involved in all this? The priestess of Lamashtu looks at Doomra in disgust. This thoughtless thing? No, she did not see, was not smart enough to see what was transpiring under her nose. I won't offend the name of Lamashtu by calling our hostess one of her tribe. Enough. The priestess glares at you, hatred and contempt in her eyes. You and your minions unleashed a blight across my lands. Because of you, monsters overrun the barony, and honest people fear to leave their homes. The priestess of Lamashtu shakes her head and tries to close her wounds, moaning. That's nonsense. I've heard the stories about what's happening in your barony, elf, but I had nothing to do with this. The Great Mother rules the monsters of this world, but if you had truly earned her wrath, your lands would be drowning in blood. No, Baron, you must look elsewhere to place blame. Lamashtu and her followers have nothing to do with your troubles. I hate to say it, but I think she might actually be telling us the truth. Keston, I have an order for you. Keston turns to you. Your Grace? Tristian moves closer to you. Please, be merciful to these people. Imagine how great their despair must be to turn to the monstrous Lamashtu for help. Though the thought disgusts me, the priestess did try to help them, in whatever way she could. Yeah, okay. This is definitely a tricky one. I mean, the obvious solution would be to punish the evil cultist through execution or exile and just go on with our lives, but I don't think we can really just rule her out because she happens to be evil. I mean, we've dealt with other evil people in the past who have certainly wanted something better for others or who have performed acts of altruism or charity. I mean, look at Knock Knock. He is a goblin, he's inherently evil, he's a worshipper of Lamashtu, but he also really wants what's best for his species, even if it means killing or deposing their current leadership and essentially teaching them how to live alongside human society. That said, I do think it's important to remember we also made the first move against Sana. We busted in and slaughtered her cult. And it would be useful to have a priestess of Lamashtu on our side, especially right now. Alright, Keston. I forgive all these people, even the priestess. Let them go. Keston looks at you as if you're mad. Let them go? All of them? But... He hesitates for a moment, then seems to remember his place, and nods calmly. As you command, Your Grace. Tristan looks at you gratefully. I don't think the Stolen Lands have ever seen someone as kind and noble as you. Sana blinks and sweeps her eyes over you, as if just noticing your presence. Well then, it seems I shall serve the Great Mother in these lands a little longer. If you wish to speak or ask for something, come to the Shrine of Lamashtu. That is where you'll find me. Keston throws a tired look over the lodge and rubs his chin. That's all. He looks around the lodge. We'll deal with these people as you've ordered. I suppose it'll be a relief to Doomra to get rid of such troubling guests. I thank you, Your Grace, for your help and for your wisdom. A pity we didn't discover the true reason behind the blight, but at least we have one less mystery on our hands. Have a safe journey, my Baron. And thus it ends. Perhaps not as smoothly as it could have, but all things considered, I think we did okay. Obviously, the writing intended for us to accuse Sana before we accused anyone else, but it's in my nature to try to be thorough, and I did think we'd have an opportunity to walk through all the inconsistencies before we got to choose our final culprit. Honestly, I'm not even sure it would have made that much of a difference. If we had accused Sana directly, then it probably would have gone through some pretty similar dialogue, explaining why the other guests were there and culminating in her trying to kill us. I mean, maybe Keston would have stopped her, but either way, I'm sure it would have led into the same general reveal. Nothing to say about all that, Doomra? Fair enough.
Head on.
Yeah, I think we are well and truly done. Moving on. Okay, so according to our journal, we've now exhausted both of our main leads, and I think it's pretty safe to say that the whole Lamashtu thing is a red herring. Our only option now is to head back to Stag's Fall and see what the rest of our advisors have to say. I don't think we have anything else to do right now, so we might just head straight back. Oh, but we do have Sana waiting for us at the shrine, so we could go have a chat with her. That would actually give us some important context on what's going on. And it might give us some follow-up about the people she was helping, question mark? I'll tell you what. We'll hit the pause button for now. I will take a look at our options, and we'll pick up here next time. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder Kingmaker, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official YouTube and Twitch channels, the official social media feeds, or the official store pages over on Steam or on GOG. Links are in the description.